Hello and welcome to Sports Room. I'm Anirudh Madhavan and with me is veteran journalist Ayaz Memon. On today's episode, we'll preview the second test match between India and England at Visakhapatnam. So, to set the context, India lost the first of the five-match series at Hyderabad, which was a quite a disappointing loss for India because it rarely happens. I mean, it's never happened that India have taken a more than a 100-run lead, 190 to be precise, and in the first innings and lost a test match at home. And test match losses at home are rarer, the 3 or 4 in the past decade. So disappointing outing for India, but equally wonderful for England, who under this new Bazball regime have registered their biggest victory overseas. And Ben Stokes himself said that it was his biggest win as captain of this current regime. So as we head into the second test, Ayaz, we now know that India won't have Jadeja and KL Rahul both out with injury, which means the selectors have brought in Saurabh Kumar and Washington Sundar and Sarfaraz Khan to replace them. And most likely, instead of Rahul, they'll either pick between Rajat Patidar and Sarfaraz Khan, who both have had brilliant domestic seasons. And Sarfaraz made a scintillating 100 against the England Lions recently. Patidar seems to be ahead in terms of the pecking order, but Sarfaraz has more of a dramatic story that might appeal to the fans. But I'm sure the selectors don't go by a popularity contest. So, who, according to you, gets the nod?
That's a tough call. It's a toss up in a sense. I mean, Sarfaraz, if you look at his track record of the last 4 years, then he is, in my opinion, he's certainly ahead because season after season after season, he's been doing wonderfully well for Mumbai and also whatever other teams he's played recently against the English Lions. But Patidar has also come along strongly, and both these young batsmen, have a penchant for making big, tall scores. So it's not that I mean, they play attacking cricket, but they also play long innings when needed. And that's a huge bonus if they click. Because what India has lacked, as we saw in the first test, at least in the second innings, is somebody who could stay there for long enough to reach a target which was just about what, 230, 231 to win, and we couldn't do it. But there is a case also, and there is theories swirling around that both might get a chance to play, which means that India will also, like England did in the first match, play only one fast bowler. So Mohammad Siraj kind of makes way for a batsman to strengthen the batting. Look, there are many theories going around. It's that Washington Sundar could come in, who also bats and who also bowls, is also a spinner. What seems to emerge to me from the outside is that we're going to have another pitch which will help the spinners. Now that's the crux of the problem for India as we get into the second game, because it certainly didn't work at Hyderabad. That pitch it kind of boomerang that tactic, and we lost by 28 runs, which is a huge enough margin after taking a 190 runs lead. So I think there are two challenges facing India, Anirudh. One is to find spinners who can rein in the the bold, brave English batsmen who are not averse to taking on the bowling, play innovative strokes, the sweep, the reverse sweep, the switch hit, and what have you. And then they also have to find batsmen who can innovate, who are brave enough to take the risks and tackle the English spinners who had them actually shackled at Hyderabad. I'm not talking only of Tom Hartley, but even somebody like Joe Root picked up 5 wickets, didn't concede too many runs. Jack Leach, despite not being 100% fit, bowled very well. Rehan Ahmed was profligate, but remember, he's a leg spinner, and even he picked up a couple of wickets. So I think that the onus is now in India. It's very rare that you find on an Indian pitch in a home match, India would not be starting as hot favorites, but certainly that is the case now.
Yeah, so which brings me to question. Because let's say, assume we have the 11 set, the playing 11 set. What would you want to see from the Indians that perhaps was missing in the first test?
Well, I think what happened in the first test is I saw it. Let's look at the bowling. I think that the English team went in with a terrific plan to attack. Certainly Ashwin, even Jadeja, not give them wickets early up. We saw that even in the first innings. They conceded a lot of runs, both these bowlers. When you look at what's happened in the first match, both Jadeja and Ashwin conceded more runs than perhaps they've done in a long, long time. So while England made only 246 in the first innings, they didn't crumble to these two bowlers despite Ashwin picking up a wicket early or Jadeja also picking up a wicket. And then in the second innings, when the lead was 190, you would have thought that they might kind of, just completely lose confidence. That didn't happen. Yes, Ollie Pope played the innings of a lifetime, but that innings of a lifetime was built around calculated risk and gumption. And that when you so what they did, England in the first match is they dismantled the threat of Indian spin. Normally, when teams come to India, they are under a massive complex about the pitch. They fret and they worry about what the pitch will do, what the bowlers will do, or what the umpiring will do. I think England put all that behind them, and they said, "We'll tackle them, take them on head on, and play as we think is best in the situation," and that paid off for them. And I think that they bowled also well. I mean, Tom Hartley in the first innings looked like that might be his last match, and then he turns in with a 7-4, 7-4, and then he's now along with Shamar Joseph is hailed as one of the couple of young guns who is going to light up international cricket. So I think you have to give credit to England for having kept quiet, worked or prepared extremely well in Abu Dhabi or wherever they were, come here, not really, put themselves in a strong position batting first, but not giving up and coming back and turning the tables on India. That has been the demoralizing part. It was not a straightforward defeat for India. The ground was cut from under them. 190 runs lead, 9.5 times out of 10, you would expect the team to win, and India lost.
Yep. And talking of the young guns, we know that on the English side, they don't have Jack Leach. He picked up an injury, which could mean that after all the visa controversy, Shoaib Bashir might get a chance. And do you think, assuming that the pitch would aid spinners, that England would stick to their plan of having only one pacer?
I mean, what I hear is they want to play 4 spinners, but now, of course, Jack Leach is not there. I mean, Jack Leach was, at least in the stock bowler's role, really impressive. Tom Hartley picked up most of the wickets, but Jack Leach can be very, very parsimonious, not give away runs, and that's of value on these pitches when you have an attacking and a defensive option. So whether they'll play 4 spinners, I think they'll play still one seamer. That seems to be their game plan coming into India. It really depends on how they assess the pitch. But who will that one pace bowler be? Will it be Mark Wood again, or will they get in somebody like Jimmy Anderson, who knows everything there is to know about fast bowling on all kinds of wickets? That seems to me to be the key question for England, because if they play only one fast bowler, then they still have a very extended batting lineup, which they obviously need. But I think really the onus has shifted from England. The onus when England came here and when the series started was, will England be able to survive? The onus is now shifted to India. Can they tackle the way Bazball is kind of unfolding on Indian soil, on Indian pitches?
Yeah, which brings me to the last question, which was, like you said, can India, because of that first loss, can India become too cautious, and there could be a pitch that has so much turn and variable bounce that it ends up becoming a lottery? Because the first test was a turning pitch, but it wasn't like the pitch we had in, if I remember correctly, Nagpur, when Australia came and beat India with Matt Kuhneman and Todd Murphy, who were the unknowns at the time. But do you think there is a possibility that India could become so cautious that they deliver such a pitch that backfires on them, or do they back themselves in any condition and just take this loss as what it is, just one loss?
I mean, in theory, that sounds good. Take it as a loss, wake up, say, look, I've got another match coming up, and play a natural game. But I think the pressure told on India. Let's not forget that. The pressure told on India after 190 runs lead, when they found that they just couldn't get past Ollie Pope, and the runs just kept coming at a fair clip. That's when India started, feeling the heat. And especially with the 200 plus run lead that England had, they really piled on the pressure. So what has emerged, and that's the worrying pattern for India, Anirudh, we've discussed this briefly, I think the last time also. We lost in the WTC final to Australia. We lost in the World Cup final. We lost in South Africa when we went to South Africa. And frankly, the second match, India won, which was great. But, I think that had South Africa not batted first and put India in, who knows what the situation would have been. And here, we lost in the first match. What it tells a story is that India is vulnerable, is fragile, is frail under pressure. And that seems to be a pattern, and that's the worrying pattern. And the other thing is that when one or two batsmen take the fight to the Indian bowlers, whether it is the spinners or the fast bowlers or the Indian attack, then India seems to run out of ideas. We saw that, if you remember, India versus Australia, the last match last season, fourth match which Australia won. When I think Travis Head, which was there, who took on the Indian bowlers on Indian soil. Then in the WTC final, Travis Head again making a sparkling century, taking the match away from India. Then in the World Cup final, again Travis Head smashing 100 and winning the match for Australia. And we saw it again in against England, Ollie Pope. Of course, the underprepared pitch or the nasty pitch in South Africa, I'm not considering that. That match ended in about 2.5 days. The next match ended in 2 days. But here, when Ollie Pope started counter-attacking, the Indians didn't seem to have an answer, didn't know how to check the runs, nor pick up wickets consistently. So it shows that under pressure, this Indian team is very vulnerable.
Yeah, so the match starts tomorrow and we'll stop all the wondering then. I just wanted to say that I just hope like this series was built up to be the ultimate test for Bazball, and England have proven that they're up for the challenge. And so we'll keep you posted on the series as it goes along.
Just to add here,
Yeah.
Anirudh, just to add one thing here, that India is still without Virat Kohli. So the batting, therefore, becomes even more. And if you play one or two rookies like Rajat, Patidar, and Sarfaraz Khan, either one or both of them, then obviously the vulnerability factor which I'm talking about gets a little higher, the quotient. I mean, they may come good.
Yeah.
The rest of the batsmen may come good. But right now, India are certainly under duress.
Yeah. So as I said, this series is living up to its billing, and the second test starts tomorrow, and we'll keep you posted next week. So that's it for Sports Room for this week. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Anirudh. Take care. Cheers.